Yo, what is up, guys? Draco Sean here, back with another One Piece video. So this is chapter 1042. To sum up this chapter, I think it was pretty good. It's a pretty solid chapter. I would give it an 8 out of 10, I would say. Definitely better than last week's. Again, so let's talk about it. So this is just purely action. So we'll just talk about it, the start and everything about it. So let's just talk about Drake versus the CP0 dude. We don't even have a name for this dude as well. We don't have a name for him. But Drake versus this guy, right? So we find out. So Drake, we knew, got up from last chapter when Izo beat the other member of CP0, which I still find is complete. It's complete BS. Let's be real here. Let's be real, guys. That made no sense, and it was bad writing. Now this chapter kind of makes CP0 look a little bit better, but I mean, I still can't get over last chapter with CP0. I just cannot. It made them look really bad. I'm sorry, like it made them look really bad. But at least with this chapter, Drake actually stabs the guy through the chest. He actually stabs the guy with the hat and the scarf and everything. He stabs him through the chest, but then he uses a shade. And he gets away, and then he uses the finger pistol, and and I think it's implied that he's pretty much defeated Drake again. And I think we even see the hole through Drake's neck, so it shows you that I think Drake is actually down. But yeah, this guy obviously from CP0, he's gonna play a huge role, obviously. So yeah, that I think is something really important to note. But yeah, this part was fine. This part made CP0 look a little bit better at least. So I'll give him that. So yeah, let's talk about the main part about this chapter. I mean, we saw what's happening in the Flower Capital. I mean, nothing to really talk about. So let's talk about Kaido versus Luffy. As someone who likes Kaido, I'm a Kaido fan. And by the way, I'm Team Kaido, by the way, bro. We're Team Kaido. Screw Luffy. I'm actually, you know what? I'm annoyed with Luffy in this arc. Because he's been getting too many power-ups. It's ridiculous. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not Team Luffy. I don't think Luffy has done anything in his arc. He has earned nothing. Like, I'm honestly Team Kaido, bro. I'm Team Kaido. But after this chapter, yeah, I'm happy. But yeah, the fight was pretty good. It looked really good. Now, the reason why this chapter is not a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 is simply for two things. Now, one of them I'm gonna list right now. So the first point I want to make is that, well, Kaido apparently has future sight. Now that threw me for a loop. I was confused. I was like, wait, hold on a minute. Since when does Kaido have future sight? Because from what we know about Kaido, I mean, I would expect him to have good observation haki, but not future sight. Because future sight is the pinnacle. Like, not even Big Mom, not even Whitebeard has future sight. None of these dudes have future sight. I don't even think Rayleigh's got future sight, even. I mean, he might, maybe, but... even powerful people like that, they don't even have future sight. The only person we know who has future sight, aside from Luffy, is Katakuri. And Katakuri is by far the best person at using future sight. Like, Luffy's good, but he's not as good as Katakuri, obviously. But Kaido having it was a bit strange. I mean, a Yonko having future sight makes sense, but I would predict that the only Yonko who would have future sight is probably Shanks, because Shanks, again, like I said, he's a haki master. So him having future sight makes a lot of sense. But Kaido just randomly having it made no sense, and I think it's kind of implied that he just gets it now. Like, he's never had future sight, but he only gets it now because he's in this drunk phase. I think called the thieving drunk phase, I think. Again, I didn't understand it because it kind of confused me a bit. And I think it's bad because we know that getting future sight is a big deal. I mean, a Yonko having it, again, it's not bad. But in this scenario, again, like, he just got it out of nowhere. And I think it's a bit of a silly excuse, like, thieving drunken phase. Like, come on, that's a bit silly. But other than that, chapter was, again, really good. The fight was pretty cool. It's interesting because Kaido makes a comment about Luffy's powers, and he says that he's altering the trajectory. I can't even pronounce the word, sorry. But yeah, you know what I mean. He says that Rubber shouldn't be able to do this. I mean, we've made theories about Luffy's Del Fruit is special, and the Goros they were talking about. I mean, we don't know if it's Luffy's Del Fruit, but it's implied it's Luffy. Which, again, listen, I'm not a fan of this. I hate this. I don't even know why this has to be a thing. Like, why does Luffy's Zephyr have to be special? Like, it's stupid. I think it's ridiculous. And it makes no sense because they've known Luffy's had the gum fruit for years. Why is this only being brought up now? Like, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Now, let's talk about, because everything is fine in Shadow. There's cool action shots. We saw the blast breath finally works for Kaido. He actually lands it on Luffy. He sends Luffy flying, actually, out of Onigashima. But, I think to sum it up, the ending. Let's talk about the ending, because that is the most intriguing part. So, Kaido versus Luffy. So, Kaido and Luffy are about to clash with some of their strongest moves. And then out of nowhere, the guy who beat Drake, the CP0 member who beat Drake, comes out of nowhere and he just, well, I don't know what he does exactly. He uses Iron Body. I think it's implied that he he kind of holds onto Luffy's arm, and then Kaido just whacks Luffy with a Thunder Bagua. And we see this like look on Kaido where he's actually feeling like he's about to cry. It looks like an actual genuinely cry. I mean, I'm okay. I mean, this is an interesting take that Oda's gone. I don't know what it's going to lead to, because the question we have to ask ourselves now is Luffy actually done? And my answer is no. He's going to get back up. Like, we know that Luffy will always get the final moment. He's always going to get that special moment. But, like, if Luffy gets up after this so instantly, I will be pretty annoyed. Because I want Kaido to do something. I've been saying this. For Kaido to be the greatest One Piece villain, I feel like he needs to kill someone. And we need to get his backstory as well. Once we get his backstory, once we get an actual death, because I want someone to die in this arc. Someone has to die in this arc. This arc is way too easy, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be easy. But this is going to be an interesting character moment for Kaido. All I'm going to say is that CP0 dude better start running. I wish we had a name for this guy. We don't even have a name for this guy because they haven't told us his name. Like, we've seen this dude in Dressrosa. We've seen him throughout most of the Wano arc. We don't even know this CP0's member's name, but because he's implied to be like the leader of CP0. So I don't know, but this I think is interesting because I do wonder what's gonna happen next. Because I'm going to assume that Kaido is gonna try and kill this dude. Because remember what happened last time with Kaido versus Odin? And Kaido actually in this chapter, he thinks back to his fight with Odin and how that was interrupted by the old hag. And in this case, he got interrupted by the CP0 member. And guess what now? I think Kaido now is definitely going to... First, Kaido is definitely going to kill this dude. This dude is done. He's not leaving here alive. But I guess, again, like I said, CP0, these dudes, they only care about completing the mission. So I don't think he even cares if he dies, honestly. I think that's why he's even come up here right now to get in the middle of this fight, because he's not afraid of dying. Because Cypher Pole, from what we know, they only care about completing the mission. That's their main objective. It's always completing the mission. That's their main objective. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with Kaido and Luffy now. But I'm hoping Luffy's actually knocked out, unconscious for a bit. I mean, he's gonna get back up. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Let's be real here, guys. Luffy getting up from Kaido's attacks makes no sense because Kaido hits harder than anyone, bro. The man hits harder than anyone. And again, it makes no sense. So I'm hoping that we get to see Kaido, once he's done with Luffy, once he's done with the CP0 member, he goes down and he starts beating people. Because I want that to happen. I want someone to actually die in this arc. Someone important. I don't know who, but someone. And Luffy has to see this for himself. And this is going to motivate Luffy to fight Kaido again. Again, I'm not a fan of Luffy versus Kaido. I'm not a fan of it because I don't think it makes sense for Luffy to fight Kaido as an equal. It doesn't make sense to me. This chapter has a lot of promise. I'm happy that Kaido has beaten Luffy. Now, do I think that if this CP0 member didn't interfere with this fight, do I think Kaido still would have knocked out Luffy? Absolutely. Just like I said with Kaido versus Odin. Kaido was going to beat Odin. Like, people forget this as well. Like, people say Odin would have killed Kaido. I think that's absolute BS. We remember, what form was Kaido in when he was fighting Odin? He was in his normal form. He was not in a hybrid form. And we know he has a hybrid form. We know because we know back then he had his devil fruit powers. And with a zone type devil fruit, the strongest form is always the hybrid form. We know this. It's literal facts. So Odin again, Odin I don't think would have beaten up Kaido. Like that fight, and I think the same thing applies here. Like Luffy was on his last legs as well. Now again, I really hope that something happens after this. I want to get the Kaido flashback. I hope we get it next chapter, actually. I want to start the Kaido flashback so badly. I want it to be about 5 chapters or 6 chapters long. It should be a long flashback because Kaido is an important character. So hopefully next chapter, my predictions are we will get Kaido maybe thinking back to the past maybe. And we'll finally get the flashback. Like a long 5-6 chapter flashback. Hopefully it's longer. I honestly I wouldn't care how long it was, honestly, because I want it to be long, honestly. I don't want it to be like 1 or 2 chapters. That would be so rubbish. I want it to be a very long flashback. Like better than Doflamingos, better than Big Moms, anyone, any character you can think of in One Piece. I want Kaido to have the biggest, best flashback ever. But yeah. So yeah, chapter was good, but yeah, I know, and I was gonna also list my other reason why I didn't like this chapter a lot, and it was because maybe I kind of wanted Kaido to beat Luffy properly, just a 1v1, and then he would go down and beat all the other members of the alliance, like the Scabbards, the other Straw Hats, and I don't know, anyone he can find, or some of the worst generation. So yeah, I would have liked to seen that, but this is an interesting twist because it's gonna bring I think we're gonna see more of Kaido's honorable side, I think, in this. Maybe he's gonna wait on the rooftop till Luffy gets back up, and then he's gonna allow Luffy to punch him. Because this is like, again, because Oda's trying to do this route where Kaido's similar to Katakuri, and there's supposed to be like an honor code to Kaido, just like there's an honor code to Katakuri. So it's an interesting twist. Anyway, that's the chapter. Good action. Interesting ending. Not a bad ending. It's an interesting ending. I'll see. We're gonna see what happens next chapter. My predictions: CP0. That CP0 dude is finished. And Kaido is going to maybe get a flashback, and hopefully he will go downstairs and he will pretty much mess with every single member of the alliance. So yeah. Yeah, this is Draco Sean. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out. Have a good day.